The 13th person in hell fire. Then the Lord said to me, why can't my people exercise patience with me? See this woman. Suddenly a figure of a woman appeared. She was married for 7 years. Before she got married, she was a firebrand Christian. When she got married, she maintained her prayer life for a year and 6 months before she started backsliding in her prayer life because of child issue. Her husband was not worried about childbearing, but she did. In one of her prayers, I promised her a child whose prophetic life will be as the prophetic life of the biblical Samuel. But she was impatient with me. In my calendar, I appointed the 7th month of the 7th year of her marriage, a time to fulfill my promise to her. However, she had been praying and fasting, going from one deliverance ministries to another. Although those places had a godly foundation, I didn't appreciate her going to those places because I was waiting on my appointed time to come. 6 years had passed, yet in the 6th month of the 7th year her friend misled her by convincing her to go with her to an herbalist. She was unaware that it was not a true herbalist home that she was taking her to, but to a witchcraft doctor. She went there without the consent of her husband, and she was surprised to find herself in a devilish shrine. However, when the witch doctor saw her, he called her by her name and told her that her problem was barrenness and that she has been in the condition for 7 years. The man told her that she has come to her final bus stop. Then the Lord was watching to see what her reaction would be. She did not reject the place, but rather she was impressed and overwhelmed by the prediction of the witch doctor. The man brought out a mirror. The mirror was round in shape. She was told to drop some money on the floor of the shrine to enable the witch doctor to detect the cause of her problem, and she did it. Then the man shouted that the hand of God was responsible for her problem. Then he gave her a liquid substance to drink and she drank it, and consequently, I removed my hand from her, as well as the covering that has been covering her womb, so that she could be pregnant whenever her husband has sexual intercourse with her. However, I asked the Lord, does it mean that the pregnancy came from the devil? In response, the Lord said to me, no, my son. Her pregnancy was natural, like other women have pregnancy when they get married. My plan was to give her a place of honor on earth, but she wasn't patient to wait on my promise. Then, having drunk from the cup of the devil means that she is defiled, and no defiled person will have part with me. 1 Corinthians 3:16-17 Know you not that you are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwells in you? 17 If any man defile the temple of God, him shall God destroy, for the temple of God is holy, which temple you are. 1 Corinthians 10:21 You cannot drink the cup of the Lord, and the cup of devils. You cannot be partakers of the Lord's table, and of the table of devils. I waited on her day of travail in the labor room. I stopped the child from coming out and prevented the doctors from operating on her, and she died. When the Lord made an end of his comment about the woman, a wind came and carried her back to the fire, and she screamed and wept. The 14th person. After this, the Lord said to me, do you believe that masturbation can lead a believer to hell? Yes, I believe, was my answer. But can a Christian masturbate when he is born again? I asked him. Yes, he responded, and added, those who do it are born again Christians, but they have not overcome that aspect of sin, and it leads to their destruction, because no sinner will inherit the kingdom. It is prepared for the saints whose clothes do not have spots or wrinkles. Thus the Lord caused a figure to appear from the midst of the fire. The figure was a young man, a Pentecostal brother, and the Lord said to me, do you see that brother? That was what led him there, hell. He masturbated his penis whenever he felt like having sex. The 15th and 16th persons. While I was still looking at the figure and was dumbfounded, the Lord caused another 2 more figures to appear from the fire. They are one brother and one sister from the same church. Tears were rolling down their cheeks, and the Lord said to me, these people went to an annual conference in Lagos. They are unmarried. On the night of the conference, when the night segment has ended, and while other participants were sleeping, they were awake and were masturbating. Then, at the end of the conference, they were involved in a motor accident on their way back, and they both died. That was how they landed in hell. Gradually, a wind came and carried them back to the fire. They shrieked, wept and wailed. The 17th person. More so, I was crying and couldn't control my emotions because of the voice of souls screaming and pleading for God's mercy. Then the Lord said, son, you should not cry for those in hell, rather cry for your salvation now that you are still alive, because a little mistake can lead you to that place. I will show you, however, a man whose bribery life sent him to hellfire. When the man appeared, maggots above 1.5 inches were moving over his body. And the Lord said to me, this man was perfect in all his works on earth, but when he was lifted to a level of authority, he collected bribe forcefully from a widow who came to him for a job in one of the government organizations. The widow, from whom he collected bribe, sold her clothes and other items to meet the demands. Because of that bad behavioral attitude, I demoted him to the base level that contributed to his high blood pressure that resulted in his death. For whatsoever exalts himself will be abased, and he that humbles himself will be exalted. Luke 14:11.